Why are monopolies good for society, and why might competition be unhealthy? Hey guys, my name is Victor and welcome to my book summary series. Today we're reviewing chapters 3 and 4 of Peter Thiel Zero to 1, Monopolies and Competition. Now, a monopoly exists when a person or enterprise owns a large portion of a market. And what's interesting about monopolies is that everyone wants to be one, but when you do become one, you suddenly shy away and try to hide that fact. Let's take Google as an example. In 2019, Google had 92% of the search engine market share. As much as it is good for Google, Google doesn't want to appear like a monopoly. Why? Well, because when you're a monopoly, you're going to be audited and put under heavy scrutinization, and no one really wants someone else looking at their books. Instead of being a monopoly in the search engine market, Google frames itself as being a multifaceted technology company. And this makes sense, Google does indeed sell phones, tech hardware, and even builds autonomous vehicles. But when you consider the fact that over 70% of Google's revenue comes from search engine advertising, framing itself as a multifaceted tech company makes it seem like a very small fish in a gigantic pond. Now let's turn the tables. Instead of being Google, imagine now that you're a team of 4, starting a small business or building a startup. You want to do everything in your power to become and seem like a monopoly. In fact, many of us witness this on a daily basis. Buy from us because we're the leader in selling wireless electronic appliances for home use. Or we're the first and only X, Y, and Z, and that's why you should use our service. So it's quite interesting because you have these large corporate companies framing themselves within this union of different industries, while these small startups frame themselves as selling to a niche market and in the intersection of different markets. So with all this, are monopolies good or bad? But before I talk about this, let's talk about competition, or what's essentially the opposite of being a monopoly. When there's no dominant player in the industry, you have a lot of people or companies trying to compete to deliver a service or sell a product. And if you've done some basic economics, then you know that competition is good for us as a consumer because it drives prices down. But what people forget about competition is that low prices for us also means low profits for them. But yeah, who even cares about how much money these huge companies make? But actually, it does matter because low profits for these companies means that they're unable to invest in new technologies and rather have to focus on competing and struggling for survival. And if you take Apple for example, I personally love Apple, but I think recently it's sort of lost its ability to innovate. And well, it's because you have all these other competitors selling phones, such as Samsung, Google, Huawei, and I think that Apple has become so focused on the competition that it's at least temporarily lost its ability to innovate. And you can see, right? Instead of innovating, it's just simply now trying to push out more mobile phones and turn or make more profit. Even separate to business, if you've been at school, then you know that sort of everyone does better in an exam if you guys work together rather than struggle to compete. If you share notes and help each other out, you guys can all lift each other up rather than trying to snake each other. So if competition means little profits for everybody, then monopolies means a lot of profit for sort of one company. People often associate monopolies with corruption and unethical use of power, and sure, this is true in some cases, pharmaceutical industry. But I think personally, at least in the tech industry, monopolies do drive innovation and growth. Because when companies have a lot of profit, then they're able to focus on what's most important to them, making more money. And so as uneasy as it sounds, monopolies do drive progress by using their profits to innovate and ultimately create even more profit. Thank you guys.